Welcome to GDs. And this is Control Z, Season 2. Season starts in the aftermath of Jerry shooting Javier, as Jerry and Raul run away. Javier survives the gunshot. But with all the secrets being revealed, Gabriela is fired from national school after her romantic connection with Alex is exposed. While Maria finds support in Claudia after Isabella and Pablo gave her a cold shoulder. Jerry is wanted by the police for murdering Luis and shooting Javier. Raul is staying away after being exposed as the hacker. And Nora is upset at Sofia for hiding the fact that her father is still alive. While Natalia is given an ultimatum by the drug dealers to get them their money. 2 months later, the school hosted a ceremony to honor Luis. And we learn that Isabella has moved out of the school. However, another hacker uploads a threatening message, demanding that they hand over Jerry, and warning them, by pushing a message saying, "You can't bury the past," and letting them know that they will avenge Luis. And they first go after Jerry's former friends, Dario and Ernesto, who are drugged and then buried alive in a cemetery. Sofia and Javier, looking for the Avenger, are able to deduce that he is going after Dario and Ernesto, and are able to figure out where they have been buried, and rescue them just in time. And we see a hooded figure watching them, and as he leaves we find that it's Raul. Back in school, Lulu finds a half-naked Alex, gagged and tied inside a classroom. We also see the walls and the lockers have been spray-painted with the word revenge on them. Alex is unable to remember anything, and Sofia deduces that she was also drugged like Dario and Ernesto before being tied up. Alex lets Sofia know that she was the one who released Jerry the day of the fight, and it costed Luis's his life. And she feels that's why she was targeted by the Avenger. On the other hand, Raul returns back to the school and has to face an angry crowd, and Pablo, on seeing him, attacks him. The fight is finally broken by the gym teacher. Quintanilla is unable to expel Raul as he uses his hookup with Susana against him. In addition, we also learn that Bruno took the fall for the hack, thus Raul is not legally in trouble. Raul is attacked again by Pablo as he blames him for everything. And Natalia, knowing Raul has money, and she being in need for it, steals his key, and as she was going through his house, she finds that Jerry was hiding there. Raul also returns home, and Sofia also reaches his home. Wanting to know why he is back, and she deduces that he is hiding someone. But Natalia covers for Jerry, and she agrees to keep the secret for a price. But Raul threatens her in return about exposing her dealing with a drug dealer. Natalia also learns that Jordi, the dealer who got her into the mess, is afraid for his life, and he leaves the city. On the other hand, Nora and Sofia had to move out of the house after the news of her father being alive came to light, as he is being hunted by the authorities. And they ended up living with Quintanilla, as he and Nora are engaged and planning their wedding. Nora is angry with Sofia for keeping the secret of her father being alive from her. And when he calls Nora to ask for help, she tips off the authorities and gets him arrested. Meanwhile, Javier and Sofia, trying to find the identity of the Avenger, break into Luis's home, and as they go through his stuff, they find his drawings, but they find themselves trapped when Marta returns. But before she could spot them, the house is set on fire with a Molotov cocktail. And it's another attack from the Avenger, and this gave Sofia and Javier time to escape. Pablo wants to get back with Maria, but she refuses because of the way he treated her before, and she is now close to Claudia. And Pablo feels that because of her, Maria doesn't want to be with him. We also get to know that Gabriela, now unemployed, has to leave for Spain as she accepted a job offer there, and Alex is quite upset with her, as she will be leaving, and Alex wants to come with her. But Gabriela is not sure. On the other hand, Rosita wants to throw a birthday party at her house, despite Sofia and Javier trying to convince her to call it off, fearing a possible attack from the Avenger, but to no avail. And during the party, Sofia and Javier are looking for the Avenger. This is when Raul shows up, and because he is the one who got the alcohol, Rosita lets him stay. Raul wants to talk with Sofia alone, to give her some information. And as Sofia leaves Javier to talk with him, he feels a bit jealous, and as a result, he got close to Natalia, and they ended up kissing. And Raul makes sure that Sofia sees them. Sofia, despite being upset, is still looking for the Avenger at the party. It is when she realizes that one of the bottle has been poisoned, but Maria already drank some before Sofia could take away the bottle. Maria collapses and is rushed to the hospital, and luckily, she is safe. And Pablo learns at the hospital that she already aborted her pregnancy, and he feels quite guilty about it. On the other hand, Jerry, frustrated by staying hidden, leaves Raúl's house and goes to a bar. It is here he meets a handsome man named Felipe, and they instantly connect. Meanwhile, Quintanilla is removed as principal of National School by the decision of the school council, given how poorly he has been handling the situation with the Avenger. While Susana takes over as his replacement. She is also unable to expel Raúl, as he threatens her with exposing her secret. Natalia is thrown at the school from a van, and she lets everyone know that it was the Avenger, and she saw nothing. But Sofia is not convinced with her story, and feels that she is lying, while Javier believes her, and stops Sofia from questioning her. And accuses her of being jealous of his new relationship. And Sofia lets him know that Natalia is only using him to solve her money issues. Natalia, on returning home and getting to know what happened to Maria, genuinely shows support to her and promises to always be there for her. And they finally mend fences. Meanwhile, Sofia, upset with Javier, was able to figure out that Raúl is hiding Jerry, and she goes to Raúl's house to find him. Raúl lets Sofia know that he was staying with him but has gone missing, and they fear that the Avenger might have taken him, but in reality, he went to a party after being invited by Felipe. Raúl and Sofia were able to track Jerry with the location software on his phone, unaware that they are being followed by Pablo, who takes their photo and sends to Javier. Sofia and Raúl eventually find Jerry, but before they can deal with him, Pablo furiously charges at Raúl, calling him and Sofia out for helping and hiding Jerry. But before things could escalate further, the bouncers threw Pablo out, and Jerry was able to get away, with Raúl chasing him. Raúl finally catches up with him, but he lets him leave after his emotional appeal. And Jerry goes to Felipe's house. On the other hand, Javier tracks Sofia outside the club, but she refuses to return home with him, and Javier leaves to see Natalia, frustrated with Sofia for still trusting Raúl after everything he did. Raúl lets Sofia know that he lost Jerry, and as they return home, they end up making out. We also get to see Javier and Natalia, Jerry and Felipe, as well as Rosita, Dario, and Ernesto making out. Raúl promises not to lie to Sofia anymore, but still hides from her the affair between Quintanilla and Susana. As Sofia is taking a shower, Raúl is tasered by the Avenger, who forces him to unlock his safe, and steals all of his money. Meanwhile, Javier was able to arrange some cash for Natalia. But Natalia needs much more, and in order to get the money, she uses a sugar daddy app, under an alias, and Maria decides to help her out. She is matched with an older guy, and they agree to meet in a restaurant, but he turns out to be none other than Javier's father, and Natalia rushes out of the place. Back at school, Pablo spreads out the news about Raúl and Sofia hiding Jerry, causing everyone to turn on Sofia also. Susana calls them both to her office for questioning, and considers expelling them, but once again gives in to Raúl's blackmailing skills, leaving Sofia suspicious. In addition, it was also Quintanilla's farewell party, and Sofia was able to deduce that he will be the next victim of the Avenger. But before she could intervene, Quintanilla is locked up in a restroom by the Avenger, with bees. And when he gets out, he lashes out at the students for refusing to acknowledge all he has done to keep the school afloat. And lets them know that they deserve all of the misfortunes that the Avenger has been causing them. Sofia was able to figure out that her mother is responsible for her father's arrest, and they have an argument, and Sofia leaves. Sofia, remembering something, goes to Luis's home, and as Raúl distracts Marta, Sofia was able to get Luis's drawings from his room. And the drawing shows Avenger's victims. And they realize that the Avenger is fulfilling Luis's wishes through his violent fantasies, with everyone who made him feel miserable. Sofia also found out about Quintanilla's affair with Susana, thus severing her ties with Raúl for keeping the information from her, despite agreeing not to hide things anymore. And she wants Quintanilla to tell Nora about the affair, or else she will. But before he could tell her, the gym teacher, also Susana's husband, arrives at Quintanilla's house and punches him, warning him not to sleep with his wife again. And we learn that it was Susana who told her husband the same, as she was fed up of being blackmailed. Meanwhile, Maria, knowing her sister is in desperate need of money, contacts Javier's father for the same, but he shuts her down. While Felipe finds out about Jerry's true identity and kicks him out of his house. On the other hand, Alex lets Gabriela know that she can come to Spain with her, as her parents have allowed it. And they will be supporting her financially. Sofia informs her about Luis's drawings. And Alex lets her know that it is because of her that Jerry became hostile towards Luis, since she encouraged him to show a drawing he made of Jerry to him. And Jerry, being humiliated by his father and friends for the same, masked his true feelings and became cruel towards Luis. Sofia also shows the drawings to her father, and they notice that most of the humiliating punishments are similar to the drawings, except for Jerry and Raul. And his father lets her know that most of the mistakes are made out of love. Meanwhile, Damian agrees to give the money to Natalia, only if she brings Maria with her to meet him. And they come up with a plan to record a video of him in order to blackmail him. But as they tried to record, Javier shows up at his father's house, and seeing Natalia and his father making out, he is furious and breaks up with her. Sofia, seeing the paintings, thinks that Rosita might be the next target, and warns her. And gets Susanna to check everyone's bags and lockers. But nothing was found on anyone. Sofia remembers that the locker of Luis was not searched, and she was able to trick Lulu and gets the key for the locker. And in the locker, she finds the money that was taken from Raul. On the other hand, Gabriela leaves for Spain without Alex, and breaks up with her, leaving Alex heartbroken. While Jerry visits Marta, and they have a heart-to-heart conversation, and Marta lets him know that the students are suffering because of the Avenger, and she knows that Luis would have never wanted any of this to happen. And Jerry decides to turn himself into the police, as a way to make up for his previous behavior. Rosita, believing that Sofia played a part in hiding Jerry, and ignores Sofia's warnings, and leaves the school. Sofia catches up with her, but it turns out that the Avenger switched Sofia's anxiety pills, causing her to faint, and she is rushed to the hospital. On the other hand, Pablo still wants to get revenge on Raul, and shows up at his house, and tries to force a confession out of him, until Jerry shows up, and he knocks Pablo out. And as he wakes up, Raul lets Pablo know that it was his actions that caused a rift between him and Isabella and Maria, and it's time for him to accept the truth. And they finally mend fences, with Pablo punching him one more time. Raul, getting to know from Jerry that he has decided to give himself up, wants him to lure the Avenger out, so that they can end his terror. And he messages the Avenger, and they set up a meeting point. Raul follows him, with the gun that Jerry used when he shot Javier. While in the hospital, when Javier visits Sofia, we learn that Sofia knew that her pills were switched, and she never took them, instead played the part of being unconscious. And she leaves the hospital, convincing Nora to trust her. Sofia and Javier admit to each other of being wrong to trust their former partners, and team up again to keep searching for the Avenger. Meanwhile, Maria gets to know that Natalia has been kidnapped, and the dealers wants the money to be paid that night, and threaten to kill Natalia if they involve police. Pablo apologizes to Maria for his behavior, and as him and Claudia get to know about Natalia, they agree to help her out. Jerry returns to school as asked by the Avenger, and Raul, who was following him, is attacked again by the Avenger, and she takes the gun from him. Sofia deduces that the Avenger is Alex, and she set up her own kidnapping, as she wanted everyone to feel as guilty as she was for Luis's death. In addition, Sofia figured out that she stole Raul's money, so that she could leave with Gabriela. Her only mistake, and that too out of love. Back in the school, Alex threatens Jerry, and wants him to jump off the roof. And starts a poll online. Sofia and Javier, seeing the post, rush to the school. Javier, getting to know about Natalia, informs Maria about the money in Luis's locker. Sofia and Javier reach the school in time, and they manage to talk Alex out of forcing Jerry to jump. While Maria and Claudia attempt to steal the money from Luis's locker, but they are caught by Susanna. And the trio heads to the roof after hearing noises. And on reaching the roof, Sofia, Javier, Raul, Maria, Claudia, and Susanna wrestle over the money bag. And as the season ends, Susanna falls from the roof, along with a bag of money. And Pablo, who was waiting downstairs, takes the bag of money and drives off. as the rest of them look down, in a state of shock. Thanks for watching. And if you liked it, please subscribe.